What's going on, guys? I'm ASAP Flash here, and I'm here with another video. Now, usually, I never really talk about Rick and Morty in the past, mainly because I never really got into the show until recently. I guess a little bit of backstory on it, or something, whatever. I never really been that interested in it. I might have catch a few episodes here and there, but I will say the animation style from first season until now is really just interesting, I guess, because when I saw the pilot, the first episode, the eyes were really weird looking. They looked kind of like, I can't really explain but it looked kind of something out of a nightmare, I guess, because the eyes looked like they had anthem or something. I can't really explain it, but it essentially looked so bizarre. Um, so like I said, I was never really that into it, never really a huge fan of it until I started watching some YouTube videos about it, mainly from a channel called Wisecrack, and they have a lot of interesting videos about it, like philosophy, blah blah blah, and like breaking down Rick's character and essentially what his deal is and everything. Essentially, he's like one of those people that's like basically, for lack of a better word, a nihilist. And if you don't really know what the hell that means, essentially, if you've seen the movie Fight Club, or if you haven't seen the movie Fight Club, I'll just kind of elaborate. Essentially, it's like one of those people that doesn't really believe much in anything, doesn't really have, you know, um, a belief of like heaven or hell or anything like that. We just kind of like we die, we die. In fact, there was an episode that basically more or less had that kind of message. It's like no one is, has a purpose. No one born on accident or whatever. You know, we're all gonna die, and that's just a really a pessimistic way of looking at things, depending on how you see things. You know, you could think that's totally right, and we're just gonna die one day. Nothing really matters. Nothing we do have any impact or anything. You're just gonna die. You know, although some people believe in leaving legacies and shit like that. Other people believe like, oh, just a simple thing. We're just gonna die one day, and no matter what we do, it even matters or whatever. And I'll have to admit, I gotta admit, first time I seen Fight Club, when I bought the DVD and sat down and watched it, it was like a week or two, just kind of like in a weird space where just kind of like nothing at all matters. Nothing we do. It just kind of like, I don't know. It's one of my favorite movies, but for me, maybe back then, but for me, it just kind of like puts me at a weird just space or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, there was one episode of Wisecrack did, where it's like kind of like breaking down how Rick and Morty's creators tell a story, and I'm not really gonna go into too much detail about it because I'm not really good at explaining it. But essentially, it's just like it divides the story into eight different sections, where it's like, character wants something, they go through a journey to find it. They do end up getting it, but it turns out it's not something that they want, so they backtrack, and that's essentially like, you know more or less what is the motivation of the character, what journey do you want the character to be led on or whatever. And it's really interesting. It's a must recommend to check it out, especially if you're a writer, like, that's struggling to come up with something decent to write about, or you just like, when you watch a movie or something, you like, um, you know, kind of furthering their mentality, I guess, when you watch the show. Instead of just watching the show, you just get a sense of what the character's motivations and shit. To me, it makes it more interesting to watch. To get a feel for these characters instead of just people on TV and whatever. And I don't know. I'm weird that way. Anyway, so that's pretty much the background behind it for me. Getting into Rick and Morty, and yeah, I've seen like all of season three so far, and it's just, I feel like the show is getting better and better. I mean, last week's episode was a Pickle Rick, one of the best episodes thus far. Before that was where they went to a dystopian Mad Max type of world where nothing really mattered, and I think is important for Summer's story arc, and where because like she feels kind of like at a weird place. Both her and Rick and Morty, and even the mother of Beth, are at a weird place after the divorce and shit like that. So I mean, who wouldn't be, you know? But like she's put in the Mad Max type of world. I mean, you have to see the episode for yourself, but essentially like, where nothing really matters, everything's savage, blah blah blah, and then like once everything is civilized, she sees the guy that used to be a savage is just the guy that sits around and watch TV all day. Just like your average man. So like she at the end of the episode, she goes to Jerry, her father, like, and then kind of like forgives him or whatever. Not forget necessarily forgives him, but just like understands his shit or whatever. Yeah, I think I've been talking too much about the YouTube and all this shit. So anyway, so here's the episode itself. It's called Vindicators 3 Return or whatever of the World Ender, and basically it spoofs heavily on superhero films and superhero tropes and all the other stuff, like where a character is like has a tragic backstory and really cookie cutter how they got the powers and shit like that, like your atypical characters where they're just the cocky one, the intellectual one, yada yada yada. And so they basically invite Rick and Morty, just kind of like more of the favorite to Morty because he's such a huge fan of him. But obviously, Rick being Rick, he has to poke holes to the logic and poke holes, just be a general asshole. I mean, he like I think I might have said that Rick, the character of Rick, is just like he's the more logic based type of person. Which, speaking of logic, I'm gonna mention that later on. But he's a more of a logic based type of person, where it's just like if it doesn't really make much sense, he whatever. It's like I guess if you watch Big Bang Theory, he's more of like a Sheldon, except not as annoying and stupid. Yeah, Big Bang Theory, you made the character stupid. Anyway, uh, I think no, but if you hate the Big Bang Theory and you hate that pseudoscience and bullshit like that, you should definitely check out Rick and Morty if you haven't. Well, you probably have, but I'm just saying. Anyway, so yeah, so Rick basically pokes holes in a lot of Morty's interests that Morty really loved the Vindicators, which is their version of the Avengers because even the logo just mirrors the Avengers. I mean, just flip the ace upside down and it's their logo. So yeah, he just gets so excited about this shit, and Morty's like, Rick is like your typical whatever, who gives a shit. I'm gonna get blackout drunk or whatever, and that's where the plot of this episode comes from. Him being blackout drunk, and then when they're on their mission, which Rick had already done for them, I guess. Thank you. Rick had set up Saw esque type traps where they're put in this a place and they have to do these games or whatever, and obviously if you escape you die. And much like the Saw movies, it just there's this one character that does like exactly like in the Saw movies, like I don't give a shit, this is stupid, so they try to escape, he ends up dying, and it's like, oh crap, this shit is for real, okay, whatever whatever. And as the episode goes on, it just mirrors Saw perfectly. How all the characters start arguing, they're just kind of like one situation after another. There's another situation that the characters have to get pissed off about or whatever. And so at the end of the episode, near the end of the episode, where like essentially it's like a riddle of like set up by Rick. Morty gets in the seat, and it's so fun. It's I think one of the best scenes in this episode where like Rick and Morty is like in this a seat or whatever, and he thinks drunk Rick is talking to him and just kind of like generally having a heart to heart moment. As it turns out, he's talking to the team doofus, which is called Noob Noob or whatever it was. Is At first I thought it was a poopy butthole, but it's just kind of like this lowest totem pole, even lower than Rick and Morty, just kind of like the team's punching bag, and like literally Morty's like, what the fuck, like I said, he thought he was having a heart to heart moment with his grandfather, but it just kind of like oh, just some random throwaway character, and then when it returned from the platform, Rick is like, okay, what was that? And then like, just shut up, you know. That moment was just perfect. And then anyway, so what I was saying about the logic earlier, apparently drunk Rick got so elaborate that he actually threw a party that invited everybody, literally everybody, to the party. And guess who was performing? logic, of course. Yeah, so that's pretty much it with the episode and the backstory on me discovering and getting into Rick and Morty, and also shouting out to the other channel, Wisecrack. I can't believe I almost forgot the name of the channel. Anyway, check out Wisecrack if you want. I mean, obviously, I'm not being sponsored by them, but it's just I'm really big fan of their channels, and they do a lot of interesting things with the shit. And you should definitely check out that channel, especially the one in particular of what I was talking about how Rick and Morty's creators make an episode, and it's really interesting, and I think that could definitely be applied with Breaking Bad. I mean, if you really pay attention to it and if you really break it down, it's pretty much set up the same way. You know, like Walt is in a situation he wants something he wants to get out of that situation. He sees the opportunity. You know, he's deep into that character, and then the metamorphosis and all that shit. It's really interesting. So just check it out and check out the channel, and also please like, subscribe, share, all fun stuff. Join the notification squad to be notified for future videos. I'm out like the Flash, and I'm out. Bye.